The video you are about to watch contains spoilers concerning the plot of this work and possibly others as well. Hey guys, it's me, OptimusPhillip, and next week is the premiere of The Amazing Spider-Man 2! Oh my god, you have no idea how excited I am. Unless you're a Spider fan like me, in which case you know exactly how excited I am. Okay, one more week to go, so I have to do The Amazing Spider-Man to keep the pattern going. This is a very controversial movie, so I'm sure half my viewers will disagree. However, I did promise to do this movie, so I will. Let's get the thing I normally care for the least out of the way, romance. I normally couldn't care less about romance. Peter and Gwen work great together. They have great chemistry, and you really do wish they could be together for Okay, they can't, but you wish they could. That has largely to do with the casting, but the writing is also a major contributing factor. You really do buy that these are two teenagers with little experience with love, especially during this bit.
So, you want to, I don't know.
Want what?
I don't know. Just, I don't know, we could, or we could do something else, or we could, if you don't, I mean, like, we could...
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, either one.
Now with that out of the way, let's talk story. One issue that people have with the first Spider-Man movie is that there really isn't a proper story. I agree with that, especially considering that the game tells a much better story, and I appreciate that this movie at least tries to tell a good story. In addition to Spider-Man's origin and conflict with Connors/the Lizard, the movie tries to tell another story about Peter's parents. While that story isn't fully completed here, well, what we do get is interesting. Peter's dad was working with Dr. Connors and was pioneering cross-species genetics to both regenerate Dr. Connors' amputated arm and cure their ailing boss, Norman Osborn. Richard realized the key to working cross-species but discovered the awful side effects and keeps it from Connors. Peter discovers the secret and tells Connors, and that's what creates the Lizard, which Peter then has to take down. That's all we get here, and it works on its own. But there's hints that there's more to it than just that, setting up Venom to be created in the ultimate Marvel style. Now onto the score. The main title theme isn't bad. It doesn't scream Spider-Man in the same way that the Danny Elfman theme did, but it definitely does set the mood nicely. It sounds sad and dramatic in some spots, but tense and suspenseful in others. There's even a bit toward the end that sets up the romance that you will know ultimately ends in tragedy, but for now is happy. The rest of the movie is pretty well scored, though there are some bits that are more electro-pop than I would have liked. Also, listening to the soundtrack on CD, or Spotify I should say, doesn't do it justice really, as they're not listed in order of the scenes. I made a playlist of it on Spotify to show you what I mean. Link is in the description. Visual effects. The CGI in this movie is totally freaking awesome. If you watched all my reviews over the past month, you'd see that one common issue among them, aside from MJ's casting, is that the mid-air shots aren't entirely convincing. Here, however, you can't even tell there's any CGI anywhere. The shots of Spider-Man swinging, the lizard, the webs, anything CGI is amazingly done. Thank you, Activision, for your contributions to the world of computer animation. Tone. No matter what the opinion is, everyone compares the movie's tone to The Dark Knight. I do not agree with that. Yeah, it's a bit more serious in tone than the Raimi trilogy, but it's not dark, really, aside from some scenes. There's even tons of humor, like the eggs thing, and Spider-Man is even more of a wise guy than ever, cracking jokes all the time, unless it's a really serious situation.
Don't dress like a car thief. You found my weakness. It's small knives.
If the tone could be compared to any of the Dark Knight movies, it'd be Batman Begins, which, again, is more serious than dark. Now, as for my opinion on the tone, I really don't mind it. Admittedly, I'd prefer a tone closer to the Raimi movies, but a Spider-Man film can be serious in tone and still be a good movie. And even if it does borderline into the dark territory, I think that's okay. Want to know why? Well, riddle me this. What comic began the Bronze Age of comics, which was much darker and grittier than the Golden and Silver Ages before it? Was it Batman? Was it Punisher? No. It was The Amazing Spider-Man number 121, where Gwen Stacy, a character whom fans have grown to love, and has become a staple of the franchise, was murdered in one panel. In addition to that, there were other dark Spider-Man stories like Dying Wish, Spider Island, Maximum Carnage, Original Sin is also looking kind of dark, and the list goes on and on and on. There are also some things that I do appreciate that are much improved over the last Spider-Man film series. For starters, Peter is much more proactive here than the first movie. In the first movie, the only proactive thing Peter did was go after Uncle Ben's killer. He doesn't really do anything proactive to take down the Goblin. All their encounters occur by happenstance or by the Doctor luring Spider-Man into a trap. Peter just happens to be selling JJJ pictures when Goblin attacks the Bugle. The Green Goblin pretends to be an old lady drow at Spider-Man. That's one of the reasons why the game is a much better story, but I think that's a video for another day. Here, Peter proactively tries to find out more about his father by going to Oscorp to see Connors. He also proactively tries to find Uncle Ben's killer, who's implied by the upcoming Amazing Spider-Man 2 game promos to be Cletus Cassidy. Finally, he proactively tries to figure out what the lizard is up to and how to stop him, consulting the city's foremost authority on lizards and hunting down the lizard in the sewer. Everyone complains about the suit here, and if you do hate it, I basically hate you. All you're really doing is reinforcing that insulting stereotype about nerds, best portrayed by the Angry Nerd on the Wired YouTube channel. For those of you unfamiliar, you are in for a treat! A link to the playlist of every single Angry Nerd video is in the description below. Tell me, do you want to personify that insulting stereotype? If so, I hate you. I apologize for my soapbox sermon, but that is just something I cannot avoid while discussing this matter. Now, anyway, off my opinion of other people's opinions and onto my actual opinion about what people are opining. I like the suit. No, I adore the suit. I love how you can still tell it's Spider-Man, but you can tell this is also a new suit. I also like the gold eyes. They really pop since there isn't any gold or yellow on the suit anywhere else, and it gives it a lot more character. I also appreciate the realism of the suit and how he makes it. Looks like a teenager really could have made it. My sister didn't even need to see the movie to know that the eyes were sunglass lenses. They even show us how he made the suit. He buys a blue spandex unitard, coats it with plastic, and wears a mask he made with a needle, thread, sunglass lenses, which is something I love since they spent 0 time on that in the first movie. People complain about the fact that they spend too little time on the creation of the suit and web shooters, and I'll admit they could have given us more, but what they gave us works fine, and unlike Iron Man, the creation of these things isn't really an integral thing. If they spent too much time on it, the movie would have been much longer than 2¼ hours, which is probably long enough as it is. Web shooters are also a nice addition. Again, people complain that they spend too little time on them, but in addition to my previous statement, I'd like to add that the fact that he made them at all is cool. Yeah, I don't know much about the making of it, but if he can make that complex himself, you know he's smarter than the average spider. The movie also has some subtle thematic elements to it. There's the theme about Peter going on a trek to find himself, but then there's also the theme about the missing piece everyone has and what we fill that void with and what it does to us, which I think is more prevalent. Peter's parents left him and died soon after, and he tries to fill that void by being a superhero and living by his father's principle of responsibility. Connors is also missing a piece of himself, this time literally. He lost his arm, presumably in a lab accident, and tries to replace it. To quote Rhys Ifans, or however you pronounce that, he feels cheated by God and tries to find an answer in science. God seems to intervene. He tried using lizard DNA to regrow his arm, but as a side effect, he turns into the lizard and terrorizes the city. It's wonderfully tragic and takes a page out of Spider-Man 2's book by showing the hero is doing the right thing, in this case trying to compensate for the missing piece knowing it can't be replaced, while the villain does the wrong thing, in this case trying to replace it despite being nearly irreplaceable. Now all those things considered, score, romance, theme, tone, story, I'll give this movie an 8.5 out of 10. I hope you've enjoyed these reviews. It's been a long and tedious process making them, but I'm sure it was worth it for your viewing pleasure. And all that's left for me to do is go see The Amazing Spider-Man 2 in theaters, but until then, this is OptimusPhillip, rolling out.